All right, it is 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. And Superintendent, will you please call the roll?
President Holt,
Present.
Clerk Grigsby,
Present.
Trustee Wedge,
Present.
Trustee Travis,
Present.
Trustee Poole.
Present.
And is there any public comment on the closed session agenda items? See none. So it is 6 o'clock. We will recess the closed session and reconvene at 7. Okay, it is 7 o'clock. We will reconvene here in open session. And Clerk Grigsby, would you mind leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
No action was taken in closed session. And with the note that we will move the service clubs 8B to present before 8A, I move that we approve tonight's agenda.
Second.
All right, and all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And those opposed? Seeing none. Okay, so we'll start off then with public comment on things not on tonight's agenda.
Our first public comment is from Bruce Glatzel.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you.
May not need the mic, but hi, everyone. I'm Bruce Glatzel. I'm a member of the Kiwanis Club of Auburn and our club's advisor to both the E.V. Kane Service Club and to our two new service clubs at Auburn Elementary and Skyridge Elementary. In fact, it's my purpose here tonight to announce these two newly chartered service clubs. Kiwanis calls our middle school age service clubs Builders Clubs. And the mission of our Builders Clubs is to develop youth leadership through service to school and community. They're also a place to belong and to make friends and to build life skills. For several years, I've had the pleasure of working with Shirley Paris, Auburn host Lion Craig Buxton, and faculty advisor Nicole Schichtel via the Auburn host Lions and Kiwanis Club of Auburn's co-sponsorship of the E.V. Kane Service Club. Service to others is what we do as Kiwanians, as Lions, and as members of the Auburn Unified School District Service Clubs. Service to others is a very good thing that brings out the best of who we are as a community. And I don't think community service is proprietary, neither is it a spectator sport. It's service of engaged presence, of actively being there for others. The Auburn host Lions Club and Auburn Kiwanis Club have for many years worked together in co-sponsoring the E.V. Kane Service Club. And we look forward to working together at Auburn with faculty advisor Jill LeBeau and Skyridge with faculty advisors April Johnstone and Crystal McDonald. Cooperation among service clubs is also a very good thing. To use a baseball analogy, we're on different teams, but we're in the same league. We're not in competition for a pennant, but rather in cooperation and service for our greater Auburn community. To the members of our newly chartered service clubs at Auburn Elementary and Skyridge Elementary, welcome aboard. And to all three of our Auburn Unified School District service clubs, now together numbering nearly 60 members. Thank you for all you do. And thank you for welcoming me here to speak tonight. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Craig Baxton.
My name is Craig Buxton. I am the outgoing vice president of Auburn Hose Lions and announced to be soon president of Auburn Hose Lions. But more important to you and for me is for the past 4 years since moving here, I've been involved firsthand with the service club at E.V. Kane and Leo Club at Placer High School. In fact, I just came from a meeting with the Leos. And what I'd like to share with you is a little story because I think it gives you a sense of the potential through something that has only recently happened. And I'd only ask you to think about, as you hear this story, how could that actually be expanded to be a new form of a understanding of civic service to our own community. A year ago, I applied for a grant from the Lions International Club to help a particular group in Auburn called Acres of Hope. And the purpose of that project was to go in and assist the people living there and the people working there in what we called a massive spring cleaning. And we started with this budget of 4,000 something, and with students from Placer High Leos, who were the sponsoring group, and realized very quickly we need help. So the students reached out first to their colleagues in the Key Club at Placer High, then reached out to E.V. Kane Service Club, and then decided amongst themselves, let's open this up because there's a lot of work here. And in doing so, they ended up attracting other civic donations, one in particular by a group that actually is known for paving all our streets. And they came in and donated about $16,000, $20,000 of time and materials to redo the roads there. Another group came in and realized that the playground was falling apart. And so we had the students cleaning a lot of things, but they went to Robinson's, our great gravel company, and they ended up donating to us appropriate, the type of mulch that you're really supposed to have in playgrounds to avoid injuries. And they're tuned to another $5,000, $6,000. So in the end, what was a $4,500 grant with one small club at Placer High School ended up being an incredible example of what service clubs can do across not just the schools, but grades, and not just from them, but with other members of the community. And I think we are faced with the same incredible opportunity with the 2 new schools that have joined us. And the idea of having a service club with Leo's, Lions, Key Club, whoever, it's an umbrella that I think you as administrators and teachers and educators can embrace and really help promote. That's my story.
All right, so moving to association comments and starting with AUTA.
I'm so sorry. I guess I missed public comment by a minute. Is that okay if I
Oh,
could?
yeah,
take the
please.
Is that okay?
Yep.
My name is Mike Woodley. I'm a bilingual teacher up at Auburn Elementary. I'm here to speak about some of the challenges in teaching PE at Auburn Elementary. And I've just got them kind of bullet pointed, so I just kind of want to run through them. Some of the things that make teaching PE challenging at Auburn Elementary is not having an AC in your room for the first 25 days of the year. I had to take 2 sub days due to heat illness. Number 2, our field is seasonally flooded and it's inaccessible for 2 to 3 months. Number 3, not having a classroom for the final 25 days of the school year due to a flooding in the Boys and Girls Club Discovery Zone has pretty much moved me out of my classroom. Not having access to a gym as my classroom is problematic. Inadequate shade relief from the sun. The shade structure is basically worthless. It doesn't keep you dry when it rains. It has leaks. It wasn't ready until March, and it does nothing to help keep you cool when it's 90 degrees plus outside. Number 6, inadequate equipment. The order for this year's PE is finally being ordered today. Inadequate space, 5 out of 6 periods during the day, because there are other classes that have PE, or there are there's recess taking place at that same time. Our lower field is currently off limits to a lack of supervision, thus compressing all students to the blacktop. Negative impacts on students. The lack of physical activity leads to more undesirable behaviors in our classroom, cell phone usage, classroom disruptions, acting out, fighting, etc. Childhood teenage obesity. According to the National Library of Medicine, by 2030, nearly half of US adults will be obese, including nearly 1 in 4 will have severe obesity. The obesity rate by that year, 2030, 50% in 29 of our 50 states. Due to the lack of access to indoor facilities, I taught 4 less units this year. Kids missed out on Olympic handball, volleyball, basketball, and badminton. On rainy days, we're forced indoors with very little options for physical activity. Go play silent ball with 50 plus 5th graders in a classroom with 30 chairs. That's a TK classroom. The solution: no need to move RSP out of their room. Make the gym my classroom. Remove all of the clutter from the multi-purpose room and stage, trash cans, hydraulic lift, boxes, food carts, refrigeration, etc., to maximize that space and turn it into a gym where balls are allowed in the gym during the school day. Move my prep period from 7th to right after lunch so I can be in the gym periods 1st through 4th, 6th through 7th. Build some benches under the pavilion for outside eating, and we can continue to teach class as the lunch line snakes around the perimeter of the gym, just like it is and was doing at EV Kane. The consequences of inaction: a continuous drop in participation in PE and daily physical activities. Unable to field teams for our after-school programs, Auburn Elementary had the lowest participation rate amongst all 3 schools. Unsustainable for teachers, heat illness, probability of catching skin cancer and other related diseases, dehydration, constant fatigue, teacher retention.
Mr. Woodley, that's time. Thank you.
I really like how the gentleman was afforded an additional 15 seconds, but yet I'm not. I did the
Thank you.
Nevada
Mr.
County
Woodley.
lap to come down and speak today.
Thank
and
you.
This
That's
is
time,
the
Mr.
type
Woodley.
of appreciation that we get.
Thank you.
Tabla rasa, blank slate. The middle school will
Thank you.
from a blank slate next year because of teacher retention. Thanks
Mr.
for all you do. I'm heading back to basketball
Mi-
practice.
Mr. Woodley, we need a public comment card from you though. Can you fill one out for us, please? Just so we have a record.
He didn't want me in here. I'm out of here.
Okay.
Is there any other public comment? All right. ATA, thank you.
Good evening, school board members and Superintendent Meyer. We have 14 and a half days of left of school. And thinking about this past school year, school sites were closed, new boundary lines were drawn, with the thought that students would go to their home schools to create balance in our schools so that they would not be overcrowded. This did not happen. The district granted many requests for interdistrict transfers so families could choose where they wanted to attend. While EV Kane stayed on the lower side of enrollment, both Auburn Elementary and Skyridge had more students in their classrooms and more behaviors. Looking at next year, what are the plans to keep the numbers low at EV Kane, but still continue to fill seats at Auburn Elementary and Skyridge? How does this benefit students? With packed classrooms, there is little or no time to give attention to students. While we encourage students to attend school, they bring trauma with them that needs to be addressed before we can start any academics. To take an example, in my classroom alone, I have huge behaviors that escalate daily, from throwing papers, ripping papers, temper tantrums, to flipping desks, to work refusal, and arguing with adults. And it's not just in my classroom, it's in many classrooms across this district. We are drowning with student behavior and are in desperate need of student behavior supports and staff to help us navigate our changing student population. At the beginning of the school year, we again hired 35 new teaching staff, and to date, we've lost 15 of them to resignation to non-reelection or just quitting. Auburn Elementary has a shade structure that was built in March that cost $49,000. It's not in a great location. There are no tables or chairs for students to use, and it's a big eyesore with no purpose. What will the shade structure at EV Kane look like for $45,000? Will it look the same and have similar issues? Skyridge is having a ball wall and a shade structure that is being built for $167,000. But theirs seems to be made with a fabric that could actually go over a play structure or near a play structure to actually provide shade for students who are outside on breaks, taking an outside classroom, or during lunch or recess. Speaking of money that the district is still spending, we are still contracting out on behavior services. I know that we have hired a behavior specialist, or at least are planning to help with costs. Our HVAC systems were replaced, I want to say in 2001, and it seems we have huge maintenance issues. That shouldn't be happening if they're 5 years old. I'm happy to see that the letter from PCOE was in positive standing. Thank you, Jeremy, for your clear and thoughtful presentations of the budget. Lastly, I know this is a really busy time of the year, and there are many school events like open houses, sporting events, and just all around busyness time of year. But I really wanted to say thank you to Trustee Travis for showing up to the Auburn Elementary Fiesta. Thank you for taking the time to interact with our community, our families, and our staff. Respectfully, Sarah Liebert, AUTA President.
Thank you. Jason, would you mind pulling that door shut, please? Thank you. The glare is getting right at me. Okay, and do we have CSEA here tonight? Not seeing them, we'll move on down to special presentations. And if we could start with the service clubs, please.
All right, so while Mr. Peters gets our presentation up for you guys, I just want to introduce my two wonderful vice president and president behind me. So this is Emma Proctor. She's an 8th grader. She's our president of Service Club this year. And this is Charlotte Dickerson. She is our vice president and she's in 7th grade. So I'm gonna start and then we're all gonna take turns to present our presentation. So this slide just starts with our service club pledge, and this is something that we talk about and introduce to students when we start service club. And then Dave, if you want to go to the next one. So this is a picture of our service club. This is our 2025 EV Kane Service Club. Yep, go ahead. So our motto is you can't stop the service club. The EV Kane Service Club has had a lot of events this school year, such as our Hometown Hero Luncheon, our Wreaths Across America fundraising, as well as our Wreaths Across America wreath laying and Veterans Day Parade, and many more. So presenting our service club officers of 24-25.
Hi. Hi, I'm Emma Proctor, president of Service Club. I've been a member of Service Club for 1 year, and this year I've focused on being friendly with our club members and getting to know them. I enjoy the events that Service Club has helped with, and it has been an honor and a privilege to be a part of helping. One of my favorite events we did this year was Hometown Heroes Lunch. My favorite part of being a member of Service Club is being able to help the members of this community.
Hello, my name is Charlotte Dickerson, and I was the vice president of the EV Kane Service Club for this year. This was my first year as a service club member. Being vice president, my job mostly consisted of collecting and adding up service hours. Throughout the year, I experienced a lot of things that I am grateful for, such as the Hometown Heroes Lunch, which we worked very hard towards. One of my favorite events was the Veterans Day ceremony. I really enjoyed being able to help others and the community. This year, our total service hours were 325 hours, and we had 24 students were involved in the service club this year. Our secretary, Stella McCool.
You want to read her thing?
Okay. Her name was Stella McCool. She was Secretary of Service Club throughout 2025 to 2020 or 2024 to 2025 school year. This was her first year in Service Club and it had become very important to her. Her job was to take care of all of the notes and information regarding the club. She also organized and assisted with events. One of her favorite events out of many was the Hometown Heroes Lunch. It was very important to her because she got to honor the people that serve in our community.
Our treasurer's name is Lyric Saldo. She was treasurer for this year of Service Club. This was her first year in Service Club, and it was a great experience for her. During the club, she kept track of all of our expenses and income. Her favorite part of being a part of this club was going to an elderly home and singing to them. She really enjoyed making cards for them too. She loves helping out for her community. Treasurer's final report. Fundraising. Wreaths Across America. Funds go to Hometown Heroes. Valentine's Grams. Funds go towards Baskets of Love. T-shirt sales. Funds support purchase of t-shirts. We have $664 in our account to carry over to the 2025 to 2026 school year.
So then our community chair, her name is Bella Recci, and she was our community chair for 24-25. This was her first year being in our service club. And Service Club taught her the importance of service in our community. She really enjoyed the events that Service Club has done, and it was an honor to be involved in her school and her community through the Service Club. So now we're going to take you guys through the different months of the school year and the different events or service opportunities that we provided. So during September and October, our big events that we focused on were our Renaissance Fair for EV Kane, Auburnell, and Skyridge. And we also had Newcastle and Weimar come. The Service Club really helped set up and take down with that event, which is huge. If you guys have been able to see the field all set up. So it was great to have them. The Renaissance Fair has been going for 23 years and Service Club was honored to be a part of it. And then the other thing that we did was we helped out the Kiwanis Club at the Harvest Festival that's at the ARD Park. And so we had Service Club members come and the Kiwanis Club provided pumpkins for kids to decorate. So our Service Club members were there to kind of help the little kids decorate and paint the pumpkins.
We had a very busy November. Some of the major events we accomplished were collecting donations for Wreaths Across America and settling up and assisting during Veterans Day Parade. Here in Auburn, we made so many cards for our local veterans and we were able to put a smile on many of the faces of our veterans. We also participate in a turkey drive for the Auburn Interfaith Food Closet.
Our first project we did was the Hometown Heroes Luncheon. This was an event we did for our first responders and nonprofits. Our special guests were the CHP Chips for Toys Drive, Firefighters Burns Institute, and Placer County Sheriff's Activities League. We served them lunch and also made cards for our hometown heroes. Another one of our December projects we did was Wreaths Across America. We gather at the new Auburn Cemetery and placed wreaths on the graves of our veterans. In January, Service Club also went to the new Auburn Cemetery and cleaned up the wreaths we had laid on veterans' graves the month before.
During the month of February, we had 3 main projects. Baskets of Love, we also sang and handed out cards to the Auburn Ravine Terrace and sold Valentine's Grams. For our Auburn Ravine Terrace project, we had everyone make cards for all of the residents and serenade them with songs from the past. We also sold Valentine's Day Grams at our lunches to help raise money for Baskets of Love.
So in March, our service project focused on our school, and we adopted our TK, kindergarten, and first grade classrooms, and we wrote them leprechaun letters. And the students, they got to pretend like our service club students pretended like they were leprechauns at a university, and then they got to write about the classes they were taking, the activities they did. And then the other thing that we finished up was our baskets of love. So what those were was we worked with Placer High Leos, and we made baskets with coloring books, stuffed animals, just like a couple like bubbles and that kind of stuff, and we actually put them all in a basket and we wrapped them up, and then Lion Craig took them to different children's hospitals around Auburn. And did you go down to the Bay Area too this year? Yeah, and he also took some down to the Bay Area as well. So that was our last service project for the year. And then it's kind of backwards, but this is my staff advisor page. So my name is Mrs. Schichtel. Students call me Mrs. S. This is my 3rd year working at EV Kane. Currently this year I teach history 6th to 8th grade. This is my 2nd year advising the service club. My favorite service project this year was laying the wreath at the Auburn Cemetery. This one is one of my favorites because it's on a Saturday, and so my husband and my 2 kiddos get to come with me. And so it's really important for me, they're 4 and 5, to get to show them the things that I do and kind of teach them at a young age what service really means. And then our other one is, my favorite was Hometown Heroes. This one's also special for me because my husband is a captain for CAL FIRE. And so we got to have a lot of his people that he works with come and honor them. So that was important. Our other wonderful advisor is Miss Paris. She couldn't be here tonight, but she has worked with the service club for 20 years. And she has become kind of like our service club advisor. She's part of the Lions Club now. Her favorite events are always Hometown Heroes also, and Wreaths Across America.
We'd like to thank Miss Mayberry, our principal, for supporting our club. Our staff advisors,
Mrs. S.
Miss
call her,
S.
so you're good.
for all her hard work and organization and helping us. Our club advisor, Miss Paris, for creating a timeline for the year and coordinating all of our events.
And then last thank yous go out to Lion Craig Buxton for being our Lion Club advisor. And our other club advisor from the Kiwanis, Mr. Bruce, thank you for your assistance as well. And then we just have a couple pictures. So this is us donating. We were able to donate 35 toys to the Chips for Kids toy drive. And then this is all of the 3 service clubs. So it's Auburn Elementary is in the gray, and then Skyridge is in the middle in blue, and then EV Kane is in the red. And then this is Boots is in the front. He's from the Firefighter Burn Institute, and then Valerie's on the side. And so we Skyridge worked to fundraise to donate money to the Burn Institute this year. And then just one more picture of service club. So thank you guys for listening tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over there representing t-shirts too. So thanks for coming out.
Thank you, girl.
Thank you. Okay. So moving then to our EV Kane presentation.
Hello, good evening, President Holt, Clerk Grisby, and Trustees Poole and Travis and Wedge. Really nice to see you tonight. Hello, Dr. Meyer, Jeremy, and Kelly Young. Hi, Jenny. Thank you for having EV Kane here tonight. My name is Christine Mayberry, proud principal of EV Kane School. I am so excited to be here and to share. We had a little bit of excitement this year, so I get ready to share it with you and let you know what happened. As soon as my IT guy gets it going. Come on, Dave. I threw him for a loop with a Canva thing. However, you did say you had it. That's all right. I can adapt. Teachers that are here, it happens all the time, right? He's not used to this, so. Okay, almost. Can you go back to? Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. Hello. Next. All right. So what a change. So for those of you that might be new to the board, I actually started here at EV Kane in 2022 as the middle school. So from 2022 to 2024, as it compared to 24-25, there's a little bit of change. 2022 to 24, average student age was 12. 2024, it's 9. We had 2 lunches. This year we have 3 lunches. We had lunch only at Kane Station, and this year we have had lunch at Kane Station and Dragila Gym. So our littles eat in the gym and the bigs eat outside. Lunch was consisting of soccer, basketball, football, and volleyball. And that was just one recess. And now we have all of those things plus hopscotch. And we've got some cha-cha slide going on and some hula hoops and stacking buckets and Connect Four and jump ropes and big games. So it's pretty fun. The plate structure has got all kinds of kids all over it all the time. And sidewalk chalk is very popular. 0 elementary teachers. Now we have 16 elementary teachers. We had 27 middle school teachers, and we have 10 middle school teachers currently. 25 bags of ice are needed for injuries at the middle school on a yearly level. In 2024, 25 bags of ice are needed for injuries weekly. Ice fixes everything is what I've decided. Number of hugs received by the principal in both 2 years was 4. Currently in 2024, it's about 400. That might be a little exaggeration, but so it's been an exciting change. We have embraced it all. It's been very fun. So what's new? If you guys take a look, we had a new logo made. E.V. Kane School Wildcats made it a little friendlier. Our middle school logo was really scary. Even when I walked on campus the first day, I'm like, oh, that is not good. So, so we have one much friendlier now. We also have our E.V. Kane Wildcat Cub. So our TK and Kinder students are our Cubs, and they have their own little logo, and they get kind of their own special treatment every now and then. So that's pretty fun. At the top picture there, you'll see some signs. We have had a great addition with so many things making this an elementary school. So we have the kind of the Dr. Seuss signs around now showing all the kids which way is which way. Dragila Gym and the Wildcat Gym and the office and the nurse and all those things. That's pretty fun. Those are the top 2 pictures. And then you'll notice the door at the top upper right-hand corner. We've got welcome mats and little signs on the doors and colorful things. That's new. That's new to me as a principal. So it's been really fun. Logistically on the bottom 3 pictures there, you'll see the cones right there. That is right if you turn onto Palm. We kind of created a new drop-off pickup area that's working very, very well. The middle picture of all the grassy area, and you can't kind of see the stairs in the background, but that is all middle school. So they've got that one aisle, and then they just walk right up the stairs, and that's their road, and they've enjoyed it. And then Kane Station now sits, our middle school students are actually grades 1 through 8 all eat outside. Our TKs and Ks eat inside. And that's been kind of fun. So, and we've got some more things going on. All right, upper right-hand corner, we have assemblies. We've got 5th graders and elementary school teachers. We have classrooms that look like elementary school classrooms with all the little decorations and pictures. Little furniture, which is very fun. I love sitting in the TK furniture. It's very fun, and I can still get up. So that's great. The upper right-hand corner is 1st grade Miss Sanders' room, I believe. And I'm amazed at what our elementary teachers can do. They are amazing with decorations and just making all of our students feel welcome. We have little Israel down there on the corner, cutting and practicing his gross motor skills. And we have our Japanese club on the bottom picture there with Miss Rogers. She does our art, and she's also Japanese club advisor. We have a couple, I believe those are 4th graders. And then we have some assemblies that we had. That's our TK and our Kinder enjoying an assembly with Mr. Ron James. So it's been a fun year. It's a fun year. So what hasn't changed? What hasn't changed? We still have amazing middle schoolers that make me laugh every day, and I will get a few eye rolls when I look at them and go, oh my goodness. So it's been great to still have them around. We've got a great art program continued on by our art teacher, Mrs. Rogers, and some staff that have been around. Miss Julie's down at the bottom. She's our library tech. And then our cafeteria staff, Michelle and Misty and Arlinda are there. And we can't forget about sports. We've got sports going on. It's been very fun. And if you look at the bottom 2 pictures on the left, the art projects, those are murals that have been a part of E.V. Kane for quite a while. And we kept those there. It's part of our E.V. Kane identity, so you guys can still walk through our campus and see some of those art and that mural that makes E.V. Kane E.V. Kane. All right, so how do we get here? Spring 2024, I put everything on paper. Like, what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Talking through all of our middle school teachers, and it was kind of interesting to be there with our conversations because we're all talking and we're like, will this all work for elementary kids? And they're like, well, yeah, we think so. We did pretty good. We did pretty good. In the summer, 2024, everything we put on paper, we now started implementing. We had classroom moves. We had furniture coming in. We had new paint put in. They painted our indoor hallways. And then August to October, like, okay, go time. things were working, some things did not work. In November through January, we were cruising. We kind of thought, if you had ever been visiting us during lunchtime, TKK, first grade lunch, oh my goodness, that was a disaster. So it's like, okay, what do we have to do here? We have to fix it. And just through talking with all of our teachers and our staff, our campus monitor staff, we figured out, okay, made a few tweaks here or there. By November through January, we got it. Now I've decided we're here in spring, and I think I've got everything figured out. But now my elementary teachers are throwing me for another loop going, we do this on the last day of school, and we do that on the last day of school. They mentioned the roof, and I'm like, why do we need the roof? It's just for an egg drop. So it's been very fun learning all these things that we have to do. So yeah, so we're ready to go. Next year's going to be great, and we're looking forward to that. Yeah. Okay, so accomplishments. This has been what a great year. What a great year. Student expectation station and behavior, positive behavior intervention supports. This was really a full-on school-wide event where we taught every grade level from TK to to 8th grade about how do we do school? Well, how do we walk in the hallways? How do we greet people? How do we talk to people? What are the bathrooms for? They're just going for the bathroom, not for hanging out and skipping class, those kinds of things. Our Wildcat Buddy program has been absolutely fantabulous. It is so great seeing our 8th and 7th graders with our littles. They are big buddies. They're playing soccer. They're doing sight word busters. They're reading. They're walking the lines. And it's really fun. Today, one of the Wildcat buddies said, we had to chase some TKers today. I go, well, did you get them? They go, well, they followed us. I'm like, great job. Good job. Our middle school sports and clubs are still going strong. It's fantastic. 4th through 8th grade, we had some 4th graders on cross country or track. I think it was track. And that's been great. Our student recognition events have really increased this year. It's been really nice to honor our students who are making great choices and doing the really good things. Attendance, grades, and just being an all around, just really kind person, working on, resilience and perseverance and kindness and generosity. That's been really great. Our reading intervention class we've had, Miss Kathy Daly is our reading interventions person, and she's done a lot of work with our elementary level. And there was a time where I thought, okay, Kathy, hey, we have some middle schoolers that could really use some help. And that was a little new to her too. And she's like, oh, okay. And she did an awesome job. I do have to tout a little bit our student social and emotional health. And I have some people here, and I told them I wouldn't make them talk, but Shelby and Rachel and Mary, stand up real quick. Is anyone else here? I don't think so. All right. Oh, and Nikki, yes. So I tell you what, the teachers have been fantastic, but our support staff, so Shelby is our health clerk, Mary is our SAW, and Rachel is our SOA. Okay, you guys. So I will tell you what, without the support and help of these 3 lovely people here and our campus monitors and our school psychologists who could not make it this evening, I don't know where I would be as a principal at E.V. Kane. Their support of teachers and students with any types of behaviors or issues that a teacher had with a student, they just jumped right in and helped me learn from them. And it was just an exciting year, but that team right there, our custodial team as well, Mr. Russell, all the kids love Mr. Russell, and they'll know who Mr. Russell is. So it's been really great. So kudos to them. And our campus configuration, it was kind of fun planning last year for all these littles, and I was like, okay, how are we going to do this? So we have our wing 1, 2, and 3 are all for TK all the way up to 5, and the older they get, the farther on down they got to go. Our littles are kind of kept in online, contained in the indoor classroom, indoor hallways. And as the older they get, they have a little more freedom. And it has been really a great thing. Middle schoolers mainly have that main area, and then they kind of call the top of campus home. So it's been really fun. So I'm excited to see what next year happens. So yeah. So what's in store for 2025, 2026? I'm pretty sure we're getting a playground. I've waited patiently. We've got a great location for our TKK playground. So that's exciting. And then we have a new playground layout set up for 1st through 8th grade. So we have done a really great job, I think, especially my campus monitor team, of really, okay, it's not great. We don't have everything the way we want it, but what can we do? And they were such problem solvers and figure outers, and they just did an amazing job. So we've got some wall balls coming. We have some Foursquare squares being repainted. We've got some other activities. I don't know what this is called, but they walk along and do like Rochambeau, and you have to win. And if you don't win, the little, apparently elementary kids love it. That's what they say. So, so that's exciting. We got to set that up. I talked to our PE teacher, and we really worked it out to give her space, and we are doing great. So it's really nice. Project Lead the Way was part of our curriculum and program this year. I can see that going even more though than it was last year to next year. I'm going to skip that one. Parent and family and engagement events. A couple of families are like, we could make it a little more community. I'm like, how can we do that? So we have some more movie nights. I'm hoping to kind of plan yet for this year an elementary dance. I heard Auburn L did it, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds really fun. So we're going to see if we can throw that together. Build and grow our community partnerships. We work with Latino Leadership Council. We just actually have a partnership as well with Placer County Sheriff. And then continue our field trips and assembly clubs and sports. The last thing that I put on there was our systems and procedures are now leading us next year to academics and expectations. So this year it was like, how does everything work? What is our day-to-day going to happen? How do they walk? What's their flow of lunch or recess, or how we do all the things? And we've really done a really good job on that. And next year our focus is, okay, let's get our academics down. What are our expectations for our students? And it's going to be exciting to start implementing that. So it's so fun. So fun. All right. Okay. That's it. Do you guys have any questions, comments, clarifications, anything I can do?
No questions, and just great work.
Okay,
Great
well,
work.
thank you. Well, wait, there's more. Okay, so because we are EV King Wildcats, I have Mary, do you have the box? Okay, Mary, my trusty assistant has got the box. I have Wildcats for you guys. And did you all know that you are possum? Possum.
now.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Thank
Great,
you.
thank you.
And I
All right,
just,
you guys.
and
Yeah.
just one
Thank you
quick,
so much.
one
It's a
comment-
pleasure being here. Oh,
one
yes.
comment. I
Yeah,
just wanted
Jason.
just thank you. I know this has been a, transition rough year, thank you for getting through it. It
Oh.
sounds like you're doing a great job, and first year is always rough. And I'm excited for, the building you're going to do on year one for next year. So
Yeah, thank
good
you.
job.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. We're really trying for that playground. It is. All right, so next up is our consent agenda. I know we want to pull item B and I3. Is there anything else to pull?
I have none.
It's all right. We don't take it personally.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.
Did you say I3?
I did.
Okay.
And I was just waiting for everybody else to.
That's
So-
all I have.
Okay. Okay, with the exceptions of B and I3, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
And clerk, please conduct a roll call vote.
Absolutely. President Holt,
Aye.
Clerk Grigsby, aye. Trustee Poole,
Aye.
Trustee Travis, aye. And Trustee Wedge.
Aye.
5 ayes.
The ayes have it. Okay, so item 9B.
So we did pull 9B and we have hard copies available. There was one change in a staff member that needed to come off of the list. So that's the reason why for pulling it, and then we can approve it separately, please. Any
Great.
questions?
No, I just want to welcome Laura Gonzalez and Melissa Willis, thank you, who are both joining us tonight. So
I'll say,
thanks for
after we
coming.
approve it, I'll say a few words. if that's
Perfect,
okay?
absolutely.
great.
Okay, so I move that we approve the personnel report.
All right, I'll start with Trustee Wedge.
Oh, no, we need a second.
Second.
Emily? Okay.
Emily, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, now we'll start with Trustee Wedge.
Aye.
Travis, aye. Trustee Poole,
Aye.
Clerk Grigsby, aye. And President Holt.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you for giving me a couple of minutes to welcome a couple people who are in the audience waiting patiently. So thank you for being here. Sorry we lost most of the crowd. I should have told them to stay. So in the front, Melissa Willis will be our new principal at Auburn Elementary School next year. Next year. And she's not new to the area. She's currently in Colfax, working as an intervention teacher. She brought us a packet. I mean, I'm not kidding. I think I could measure it in inches of the data she collected to show us what she does as an intervention teacher and how she uses that to guide improvement for students. Her level of care and compassion for kids was very clear. We're very excited for her to join us. And I think she's excited to get back into the principaling world because this won't be her first rodeo as a principal, but she's happy to be able to step back into it. So we're very happy to have you. Welcome to Auburn, and so happy to have you as a Panther. So
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah, the theme of service is, it makes me feel like I fit here because that's how I live my life. And I'm here to seek first to understand and then help find solutions and build capacity and be of service. And so I'm an open book and always available. And so thank you for the invitation. And I can't wait to come back to the next board meeting. We'll have you every time.
And sitting right behind Melissa is Laura Gonzalez, and Laura will be joining us from Yuba County. She's been driving quite a long ways to get to work, and now she has a much shorter commute. She's happy to be in her home county. We're thrilled to have Laura from the SELPA level. She's worked as a special education teacher all the way up to the level she is now as a SELPA director, and she brings a wealth of knowledge. When we asked Laura, you know, what do you see the beginning of your time here in Auburn looking like? She said, well, the first thing I have to do is meet all the people and see all the things that are working. And then we can grow and grow from there. And I thought it was just a wonderful answer to recognize the great things that we have going on and then work from there to build on our strengths. So we're very happy to have you as well. So welcome aboard, Laura.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited, and I echo what she said, you know, with the emphasis around the service. That's definitely my wheelhouse, so I'm excited. Excited to be with you all. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay, and then, all right, so then item I3, and trustee Travis, if you want to lead us on that.
I just have some, I guess, questions and concerns about the turf that we're putting into the TKK playground at Auburn. When I read the word turf, I kind of set up alarm bells for me. My kids, when they were in high school, they got turf on their field, and it was a disaster. It smells awful. It's dirty. I'm just talking about like the physical nature of it. It's very, very hot. It's uncomfortable to be on. You go to a track meet or something, it's uncomfortable and it's hot. I'm talking like 120 degrees or more in the sun. So I did a little bit of looking, and it turns out this stuff is dangerous to have around kids. It off gases. It's got I don't know how familiar everybody is with it, but it's got the recycled tires chewed up in it. And so that's what your kids are playing on and coming home, you know, dusty and covered with. So that's got PFAs in it. It's got Vox. And I just looked up a handful of studies from the last couple of years, 2024, 2025. This stuff is awful. It's PFAs, it's microplastics, it's endocrine disruptors, it's cancer causing. I mean, I saw nothing good about it. I could not find anything good or a good reason other than, I guess it cushions a fall when you fall. But the truth is, when you fall and you get your knee in that stuff, it comes up with a whole bunch of like little crumbles of tires in it stuck to your knee. So in my opinion, I think it's a bad idea, and I think we should look for another alternative. That's all I got.
It was kind of interesting that the gentleman earlier was mentioning their project over at the for the service club. They used what did he say? Mulch. I wonder if that was something that we could look into and see if that's a better option.
I think one of the concerns was that there's mulch on the sidewalk. I did the tour, and when we were there, there was like, a few little pieces of mulch and stuff on the sidewalk where the kids ride their tricycles. I don't know why that couldn't just be brushed off. If I'm being honest, I feel like the mulch is safer for them. They're not going to grow up in a kindergarten TK where you're going to be breathing in cancerous fumes. I think brushing that off is an excellent alternative.
And Superintendent, is the alternative just still the wood chips, the untreated wood chips that we have?
Yeah, and I thought maybe Jeremy CBO McReynolds could talk a little bit about it in terms of the bark we have there.
Yeah, it was brought up by the TK teachers that the bark is unstable. They have a lot of falls with the kids playing in the bark, and it's unsteady for the smaller kids. They saw the installation at Sky Ridge where we do have the turf in the new playground area and thought that it would be a good addition for the students and being able to ride their trikes and things around and not falling into the mulch. The wood mulch is there. There's nothing wrong with it. It was recommended as an improvement. We can, if it's the board's desire to hold off and do more research, and if it's determined that we don't want to do that, it's something we already have. So we want to consider what we already have and come up with alternatives if it's not something that we want in our schools. I do have the safety data sheet on it. It's from the manufacturer, from SGW. It does say that it's meets the industry standards. It's got a 15-year warranty. It's PFAS free, lead free, and designed for residential, commercial, and pet use. I'm happy to share it if you want to take more time to deliberate on it and review it. And, it's not something we have to do. But the other, consideration is we decided to move the playground at EV Kane, and it's going to have some sort of turf component to it. The current location doesn't suit for bark, and so I don't know what would be, acceptable for the board. The architects that, picked the materials have gone through and made sure that it meets all the industry standards and is as safe as it can be. In the past, the infill for the grass was recycled rubber tires, and what we currently use is sand, and so it's silica based. That being said, there is maintenance to it when it does wear out, does become, starts flaking off or breaking or discoloring. After that 15-year life cycle, we will have to consider repair and replacement. But yeah, it just seemed like it was the best option for the site based on the staff recommendation. And, we'll
Would it,
do,
when would it be, and whatever is chosen, when would it be installed?
the install would be sometime this summer in July.
Okay.
And if you wanted to reconsider and just have a look at what we have at Sky Ridge and read the data on what we have, just to make a more informed decision so that you have all the information, I think that would be a good route to go if you're uncomfortable with it.
I mean, I think either way would be important to not just rule it out, but and stick with the bark if the teachers are concerned about it. I would think we would want to get their input on what they see the need being for the playground. I would definitely want to honor the fact that they have concerns about it. So, but yeah, I also want whatever we have to be safe for everyone. So
Is
Are
that the
those-
only, oh, go ahead.
Go.
Is that the only two options? It's just turf and bark? Is there any other options available that you're aware of?
Well, what we're considering at EV Kane is a rubber surface. So that would probably include some recycled materials, and we'd have to get the data on that too.
Yeah.
But if we couldn't put some sort of turf in at EV Kane, then we'd have to consider moving the playground, and I don't know that that would be the best
Yeah.
option at this time.
Well, I'd be interested of reviewing the MSDS on that.
Yeah, I have copies I can share with you.
Okay.
I know that even though some of them are filled with sand, there's still microplastics in the, the blades of grass and the mesh that holds it all together. And it does still get hot, which is a major concern for me. I mean, we heard Mr. Woodley today talking about heat stroke. So heat is an issue in this area. And to make a little heat island of a playground, that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay.
Is good old fashioned lawn not an option?
Not under the playground structures, I don't know. But
No.
it sounds like if we do ask the district to bring this back to us, bring staff, if you could bring it back, I think maybe we could have a more informed discussion at our next meeting.
Would the board be open if we provided you that information via email and then we could bring it back for
Yeah.
discussion following that? Okay.
Yes, sure.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, now moving to our action item.
Do we need to make a motion though to not approve or?
I don't know that we do. Can I look at, I see
Yeah,
you guys.
I know, I
Miss
pulled it
Annie,
out.
Your cheat
It's
sheet.
just, it's special motions, which I don't think we're reconsidering.
Yeah,
Because we pulled it.
yeah, no, I don't know that we do.
Leave it
Because
how it is.
yeah, we just did not take action.
Okay. So we'll have to make a note in the minutes that we didn't take action on the I3
We just directed staff to bring it back. to
and we'll
us.
bring it back. Okay, sounds
Perfect.
great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving to our action items then, do we have any public comment on 10A? Not seeing any. Yep.
All right, so 10A is our declaration of need. And what this is just a pretty decent estimate of what we, or probably an overestimate of what we think we might need in terms of fully qualified educators that we can use a local remedy for if they don't hold the correct credential for whatever it is that they're teaching. So what you see here is that on page 2, there is a potential that we might have a teacher who applies and does not have a CLAD was not part of their credential. So if they got their credential in the past, that is the portion that allows them to teach English learners or English learner authorization. So we just estimate, and this is Michelle Bunt making her best estimate. If we did have a teacher apply, we can ask for a waiver, get them enrolled in a program where they would become English learner authorized. But we want to make sure we're telling you now that we're going to estimate we potentially might need one of those. Resource specialist, same idea in terms of credential, and then emergency transitional kindergarten, which requires CTE units for early childhood ed. If we were to have someone who say was a kindergarten teacher coming in to teach TK, and then needed to add those units, then we could do that on this waiver system. On page 3, she has done an estimate, and again, we hope it's an overestimate of what we might need in terms of people on limited assignment permits, 2 for multiple subjects, 7 for single subjects, and 2 for special education. This happens sometimes when you have people with a multi-subject credential who want to teach, say, middle school English language arts that require a single subject. They can get, it has a fancy acronym I'm not going to know, but Michelle would know the acronym if you asked, but they get a waiver, if you will, for that 1-year period.
So is that
Yeah.
overlap there then? Because 7 and 4 is 11. Or some of those double counted?
Actually, that's a good question. I wonder if the special ed is on the previous page. I wonder if it didn't count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Because the 7 single subjects are then outlined below. The multiple subjects are 2. The total number probably should have been 11. That was bad math. Sorry about that. I think that happened last time we did this. I should have double checked our work. Okay, so if you would like to approve the declaration of need, then you could approve with the modification of non-substantive math adjustment on page 3. Let's call it that. Any questions?
Yes. Do we file this so that is it funding related? What is the reason that we file this
So
declaration?
we have to give you a heads up as the board that we may hire people in our regular hiring processes who do not fit the credential for which we're hiring them.
Okay.
Then what'll happen is around September, when all of that is done, we will come to you and say, this is what we actually have and all of that. But we have to tell you the highest number we think it could possibly be.
Okay.
So our goal is not to have that many. And then we will give you our declaration of need. I think we brought it in September this past year that tells you how many we actually went forward
Okay.
with, if any. Hopefully none, but might be some.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I move that we approve the declaration of need for fully qualified educators with the note about page 3.
Second.
And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And those opposed? Seeing none. All right, and before we go to 10B, I would actually like to take call it a 10-minute recess. Let's round up to 8 o'clock. We'll reconvene here at 8:10. Thank you. Okay, folks, it is 8:10, so we will reconvene here. And next up is item 10B, consideration of surrender of the Alta Vista Community Charter. Is there any public comment on that agenda item? Not seeing any. Let's move right into it.
So this item was returned from a previous board meeting where we had it as an informational item. So it's now being brought back as an action item for discussion by the board and then a motion deciding whether or not we want to maintain the charter, which goes through 2027, or if it is the wish of the board to surrender. We had the conversation last time. It was recommendation of staff to surrender the charter, but we can open the discussion and answer any questions you have.
Let's get started.
I'll go ahead and start off kind of where I stand with this is you know, it's not costing us the district anything, and I understand you know, so if we don't surrender it and you know, keep it in our back pocket, it can be a potential revenue source, and you know, just blindly getting rid of something that could be a potentially revenue source. I don't, you know, that's not sitting well with me when it's you know, definitely not costing us anything to keep it open. And you know, there might be some potentials out there that you know, that want to use a charter. I have been doing a little bit of research. I know there's a lot to be done and a lot more. But one of the main questions I have is districts that do have a that are a authorizer of a charter. You know, what are the benefits? What are the, you know, what are the pros? What are the cons? And that's what, you know, something that, you know, I would like to know before a decision is made to, you know, firmly, you know, close the charter at this point. So, and that's kind of, you know, where I'm at right now. And so, you know, I might share a little bit more later. So see where you guys are at.
So I'm trying to just get this loaded. The superintendent had responded to some points by email beforehand, but I got out of the internet on our previous recess. Perfect. So I think some of that spoke about time, particularly staff time. Is it 20 or 30 hours a year estimated?
Estimate, yeah, 20 to 30.
So
Yeah, 20 to 30 a year. Reporting, returning funds, auditing, communication with CVE.
that's a pretty significant investment when we're looking at superintendent CDO time. But superintendent, clarify, is that 20 or 30? That's not 20 or 30 hours this year, right? When we're not using the charter, that would be if we were actively overseeing a charter school.
Oh, if we were actively overseeing the charter school, it would be much more, actually.
Oh, so it's currently 20 or 30.
That was our rough estimate when Jeremy and I were going through it in terms of just back and forth with figuring out reporting. And then we actually, correct me if I'm wrong, we have to return funds. Can you talk about that piece, Jeremy, a little bit?
Yeah, so if we haven't used the funds, a lot of the funds that were given to the charter had expiration dates. We recently had to return ELOP funds of $93,000 that we can't spend. So it's just time and effort reporting. We have to write checks for it. We have to respond to CDE. So, you know, just to return that money, you know, we spend a couple hours doing it. And that's that's the reality of it.
So 20 or 30 hours is pretty significant investment of time and money. Who else wants to go next here?
I mean, I'll say I like charters. I'm for school choice. I think that competition is good for the schools, but in this instance, I don't think it's going to benefit us based on the size of our schools, the cost to our administration. It's, from what I gather, basically like running another district. And we are a small district with what, 7 administrators? That's a large workload, in my opinion, to put on them. Also, I really feel like if there was a market out there for a charter school, that they would have knocked on our doors and said, hey, we're interested in doing this. This is what we want to do. Can we use your charter? And it's been 2 years and we haven't heard that. And we've had space in our schools to house a school if that had come up, but it hasn't. So I say we, what are we doing? Suspending it?
Surrender.
Surrendering it?
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think it's best to surrender it.
So what if, I mean, you know, the purpose of surrendering it right now, or just wait until, you know, in 2 years when we can make that same decision, you know, in 2 years. So it's, you know, um, it's not costing us anything. And, you know, so we can make that same decision in 2 years, and it could potentially, you know, someone in the community, or, cause I don't believe there is a local charter in this area. You know, that we have access to charters, but there's none in this area. And, you know, quite honestly, we're seeing, you know, a steady downtrend of people, you know, of families pulling out of public schools, you know, so this could be a potential, you know, revenue, you know, stream. And I understand that completely, because, you know, I'm one of those parents where it's, you know, the state has made it illegal for me to put my children in public schools, and I know many others, and I don't see it getting, you know, any better. So this could be, you know, a possibility, a revenue stream, you know, in 2 years if nothing pops up. You know, I mean, we're not gonna go out and solicit this, you know, but if something pops up in 2 years, then, you know, if nothing pops up, then we get rid of it then, so we don't have to renew it at that point.
Just a
Yeah,
point of order, though, it is costing us right now. It's costing 20 to 30 hours of senior staff time per year, which is pretty significant at the CDO superintendent rate.
And
I
at
think
least,
our-
sorry, at least from what I'm looking at, it seems like we would have to have a charter come in with a large population and then pull 0 kids from us in order to break even on it. We don't have that. We don't have that kind of population here. Our numbers are trending down in 2 years.
Mhm.
It's going to continue to trend down. And so I appreciate your hope for the future that
Yeah.
that will work out. And I have that hope too, but I don't see it playing out. It just with the numbers that we have
Mhm.
here in this school.
Yeah.
And frankly, the lack of interest in it.
And being mindful, of, you know, what Dr. Meyer said about the workload, if we did take on a
Mhm.
charter and we were the authorizer of it, it's a significant workload, and
Y-
we want to keep that work focused
Yeah.
on our district.
No, and that is something that, you know, coming from one side, but there is a local charter that I have been in communication with, that there is a potential interest. And, you know, and from what I'm understanding, it's minimal, you know, time, you know, it's being an
But
authorizer.
you
But no,
wanna-
but regardless, I see where you guys are at, this and that. This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think it is not wise to, you know, just to hand away a potential, revenue stream, but it's apparent I do not have the support here today. And, I still love y'all, even though even though I strongly disagree with y'all.
we love you too, Jason. I want to share an analogy with you that somebody shared with me, is that if you have a savings account and you're not using it, but you're paying for it every month, and the payment here is our staff paying for it every month or quarterly or whatever the cycle is, and you're not using it, it's better to close it and open the savings account again later than it is to just keep holding onto it and letting it drain the system we have right now.
This may be a good opportunity for us to, when enrollment starts going up, maybe we can look at 3 years down the line kind of thing. Especially if it is something where we wanted to start a new charter, it's still sounding like, from what Dr. Meyer explained to us, that this charter wouldn't be able to suffice. So we'd have to start from scratch, basically. And with more time down the line, maybe we'll be able to put that time to it better
Yeah.
than focusing on
Yeah.
the playground that should have been there.
Yeah.
And
No,
Is
that's great logic, but you know, from my understanding, what I've been told is starting a new charter is significant, cost a lot more money, just with, you know, with legal fees and whatnot, versus having a charter that's already there in place. You know, it's much less of working with something that's already in place. But you know, I understand where, you know, that logic.
And my response to why would we do it now rather than wait 2 years is really signaling intent about what our focus is on. Our focus, I feel, should be on our brick and mortar schools that we have right here. Let's do this very well, instead of being maybe a little bit overstretched, and not
Yeah.
doing either thing as well.
No, I understand. When we went through the just recently with the board training, it was very evident that I look into the future, and what's beyond that, and that's where my thinking is. That's where my guidance is. It's just how do we deal, at here and now with the problems, which which we need to, but in 2 years, let's prepare for those problems in 2 years, potential problems 2 years, and that's where I'm coming from. And I just think it's a wasted resource at this point just to give it away, and when we can make that same decision in 2 years than we can make, right now. That's where I'm at.
Are there any additional comments or questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
I will make a motion to keep the charter and for another 2 years and possibly bring it back, close it in 2 years if there's no potential. So I guess simplify it, I make the motion to keep the charter as inactive as it stands.
And is there a second?
Come on, guys. Come on.
All right, not seeing a second, so the motion fails. All right. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to suspend the charter.
Surrender.
Surrender. I knew it started with an SU.
I'll second.
All right, and all in favor of surrendering the charter? Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And those opposed?
Oppose.
All right, the ayes have it.
But we do acknowledge that one nay.
Okay, so moving
Thank you.
then to info and discussion, item 11A, school safety update. Oh, it's still there.
That's what I'm like.
Want to trade?
Jeremy.
It's blocking my head. I'm taking it all.
Can I tell you to quit there? Is that the plan? All right, school safety. So good evening. I'm going to give you a brief overview of a lot of work we've done this year around school safety. The point of this and our objectives here are just kind of to describe that layered approach that we take to school safety, because it's no one thing, it's actually a lot of things. Expand on the steps that we've taken at each layer this school year and kind of outline where we're going in the future is the goal today. But before we get there, we'll talk about the why. So school safety is actually linked to improved student and school outcomes. This comes from information from the National Center on Safe, Supportive Learning Environments. In particular, emotional and physical safety in schools is related to increased academic performance, and positive school safety practices can also be linked to improved attendance and reduced dropout rate. So helps kids feel like there's a place at school, it's a safe place to be, they want to be there, they come more often, and they do better when they're there. And that's our goal. So we're happy to talk about school safety and see the positive outcomes in these two realms. Go ahead, Dave. Thanks. So bolded at the top, I'm going to start with proactive and preventative measures. These are things that we don't often think of directly related to school safety, but they very much are. These are things that happen before an event and hopefully are even preventative from any event happening. But unfortunately, if something does happen, we have to have a response. So we'll also talk a little bit about that. We've done a lot of work on protocols and procedures this year, staff training, and then our next steps will be around education for students themselves, and then reunification procedures after the event. That's another one of our next steps. Okay, thank you. All right, so proactive measures, lots of stuff. So what you see here is Placer County Sheriff's Office does a Placer Activities League, our PALs. So that's our SRO Anna Hurtubise promoting PALs at the Auburn campus. We have our Skyridge kids there from track and field. And then we have our band teacher, EJ. Has the kids on stage performing at an event. And these are all three schools combined for middle school. So all of these things promote school connection for kids. And that's a huge way that we protect kids at school, because connected kids who value their school and have trusted adults there are less likely to be students that want to do something that would potentially be violent or unsafe for others. It also promotes a positive school climate, and it just creates a culture where people know each other and they talk to each other. And if something is going on with somebody, they're more likely to report it. We'll talk about that process a little bit too. In addition to that, we have online protections and monitoring. We use Lightspeed. Is that the right name? Yeah. And that'll give us alerts if kids are searching things or typing things that could be potentially concerning. And it also allows teachers to monitor what they're doing on their Chromebooks during class time. We have a lot of community partnerships. Placer County Sheriff is just one of them. Auburn Police Department as well. Fire, and then Sight Word Busters, groups that are coming on, working with kids on campus, our service clubs. All of those things also promote positive school climate and culture. Additional safety measures. So this year, and we talked about this when it was approved, I believe it was October, it might have been November. We moved to a comprehensive district-wide school safety plan. So our sites used to have different school safety plans by site. This year we're an appropriate size. I think the number is 2,200 students. If you're under that, you can have a district-wide plan. And it's really allowed us to align our emergency response. We use common language, which law enforcement is a proponent of: lockdown, evacuate, shelter in place. We have definitions of what those mean, and all of our campuses drill on these. As well as in October, they drill once on earthquakes. We do that in California, even though we don't get very many of those in Placer County. But we drill on lockdowns, evacuations, and shelter in place. The other thing we've done this year and added, you see there, is our website on school safety. There's a link there to our comprehensive school safety plan. And then we also have new guidance this year that we put out on AQI and heat. Probably won't have air quality index issues happening, hopefully not before the end of school, but it might be a fall issue with fires. Oh, it is? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah, I think they can hear me. No worries. But heat probably will be something that happens to us before school gets out. And what those will do is they guide principals so that they have common practices by site on what to do if you have poor air quality, when you move kids inside, when they can still be outside but not strenuous activity, and very similar for heat. And those are all, if you read through them, recommendations through government agencies that oversee those things. We have incident reporting. So we have online reporting that people can do anonymously. Of course, they can also always go to staff at school. And that also allows them to do some online crime reporting if any of that happens, as well as through our police department and sheriff. All right, so let's get into some staff training and additional things we've done. So this year, one of the big new things that we took on is called Behavioral Threat Assessment and Management, sometimes called BTAM. And this is a proactive, systematic approach to violence prevention. So the goal here is that you have a site team that's been trained, that includes at least a principal, a school counselor, mental health specialist, and/or a school psychologist, somebody with some understanding of behavior, social emotional needs, mental health. And then depending on the threat, we also involve our SRO, or if they're not available, sheriff or APD. The primary reason we do BTAM is to determine the nature of a threat. Is it substantive? Is it transient? Is it significant? Is it not? And then the second purpose is to determine what we do about that. So what is the threat? What's the level of it? And now what do we do? Go ahead, Dave. You can go to the next one. So there's 6 kind of steps to BTAM. And I talk about this on another slide, but our teams, which are all those people I talked about on the previous slide, were trained by our Cal OES, California Office of Emergency Services. It's a 2-day training that's put on. And we talk about this pathway to violence that typically starts with some sort of personal grievance and builds its way up to an attack. And what we want to do is intervene as quickly as possible so that we don't move further down that escalation pathway. And the square that you see there is the process. So we want to identify the individual and the issue. We want to investigate it. We want to assess, and then we want to manage it. So here in Auburn, we have these 6 steps we'll follow. There's a referral. We have a form for that, but we don't make people fill that out. It can be a phone call. It can be an email. Then we have a behavioral threat assessment and management screening tool that tells the team kind of where to go next and try to assess what their next steps should be. We then determine location of the individual, gather information, and there's a multitude of questions depending on the type of person you're talking to. You're talking to a parent, you're talking to a student, a friend, another adult. And then we analyze that information and make a determination, all within these protocols, which live in our BTAM policy and procedure manual, which all staff have access to, as well as all the docs. And then from there, we develop an intervention plan. And that may very well be in conjunction with law enforcement, depending on what the threat was. Go ahead, Dave. So here's what we've done so far. Our school teams were trained in November. In January, we finalized our documentation and procedure manual based on feedback from that training and staff. In April and May, so we're almost done. Next week is our last one. We're training all of our certificated staff during a staff meeting on BTAM, as well as warning signs and the referral process. And then our classified staff training will mirror what we did April and May for credentialed staff, but we'll do that for them in the fall when they come back in August. And then this year, but also certainly next year, it's in an I do, we do, you do scaffolded approach for site teams. So if, for example, Christine, our principal who was here earlier, or Melissa has her first BTAM that she's doing at Auburnell, or Christine at EV Kane, they would call me or Kelly so that a district person could come and walk side by side with them to make sure they're moving through the process and have the support they need. And as they're ready, then we could just kind of be an observer, and then they take it on their own. That's the you do part. So that's the plan. And then, of course, as we have new staff, we'll continue to onboard them as we need. Cal OES will come back at any time. They were lovely to work with. Next slide. Do you want me to pause there? Any questions on BTAM? Yeah.
Just one, Principal Willis get trained up on that this year?
Yep, absolutely. In fact, I just got an email about BTAM training that's happening in July, and then I think there's some more in the fall. So we will talk about that for sure. Yep.
Thank you.
The good news is with having district staff trained is that if there was a lag and she couldn't go to the one till September and something happened, we can step in and help. And there's also additional people on our campus who know how to do the process. So great.
This is like this is an active threat type of situation, the BTAM. Is that?
Well, okay, good question. So not necessarily. If something is happening, we're going to do this, which is what I'll talk about next, which is active threat response. This would be prevention. So what we talked about, like we went to Auburnell a couple weeks ago and Sarah was a part of that. You want to look for warning signs. So let's say, if you remember that arrow, it said personal grievance. The next thing was ideation. So someone who's kind of spinning around, I'm frustrated about this. They can't let it go. Now they're asking questions about weapons. Kids that might be searching for weapons on their computer, or anything that would be concerning to the level of, I describe it to teachers as your spidey senses go up, right? Or even a kid that's super social and now they're not, and they're super withdrawn. There's different things we want to look for in changes of behavior that might warrant a referral. It doesn't mean that that child is planning something dangerous, but it is sometimes an indicator, and probably something is up. So we'd want to look into it. That's something that could be referred to BTAM. Also, if someone just makes a threat, right? I have a weapon and I'm going to bring it to school. If we heard that, we certainly would launch a BTAM for that, get law enforcement involved. If there's any weapons, law enforcement gets involved. And in ones I've done in the past, not here in Auburn, they'll do home visits. They'll ask, do you have any weapons in the home? Can we see that they're secured? Those kind of things. And then one of the things I did talk about with school sites is that our county also has a behavioral threat assessment team that meets once a month, although they'll meet more often if there's an emergency situation. But I have had to refer to those for things that aren't in our control, right? Somebody's spouse who's making threats, a strange spouse that their spouse works at our school. We don't have control over necessarily that individual, but we can alert our county team, and then one of us would go to explain to that team what's going on and get feedback. And there's Homeland Security, all police departments, sheriff, everyone's there. And the 2 times I've had to deal with it, no one wants to have to be there, but it's fantastic. They give great help. They check in with you. They give you updates, all that kind of stuff. That was a long answer to your question, but
No, I was just
hopefully it
I
answered.
was just thinking like, can this act quickly enough?
Mhm.
But it sounds like it can because you.
Yeah, it should start almost immediately, right? But we always say if there's an imminent threat, like if someone was to say there's a child or an adult or anyone on campus with a weapon right now, we don't go through BTAM. You're going to call 911 and go through active threat procedure. But if there's a threat of something that maybe could happen, or something I saw on social media, last night, any of those, that's when we would use this process.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So unfortunately, what if, something does happen? Active threats are things like active shooters, armed intruders, things we plan for and hope we never, ever have to use. And these are situations that actually don't fit into the standard emergency response. So go ahead and hit it one more time, Dave. So that lockdown, evacuate, shelter in place, that's actually not, and we're not going to do any of those if there's an active threat. What we're going to do instead, go ahead, Dave, is something called ALICE. And so again, our credentialed staff were trained on this at our last PD day. I'm now blanking on what day it was. It was in April 10th, 11th. Thank you. It was somewhere on there. Okay. So on April 11th, we had both Placer County Sheriff and Auburn PD, our SROs from both those agencies, have been trained as ALICE trainers, and they came and did a 2-hour training with all of our certificated staff. They will return in August and do the same for classified. ALICE is an acronym because we love acronyms. Alert, lockdown, inform, counter, evacuate. And the thing about ALICE, and I always, I talk to both our SROs about this, it's super hard for educators because we like a list. We start at 1, we go down to 10, we do them in order. ALICE is not that at all. ALICE is actually the first thing you want to do is the last thing on the list. If you can evacuate, you want to get out. But if you can't, and that's the training, you're listening, you're learning, you're trying to be informed about what's going on, you do what you have to do. So you may lock down if that person is close by. You may then later realize they aren't, and you can get out and evacuate, change your plan. So you're going to modify based on what your surroundings are telling you. And it's hard for people to wrap their head around, but it's a very positive training, I think, what comes out of it. And a lot of what people are learning now that ALICE has been around for a long time is that people learn this at work or will usually work, I guess. And then something happens and they're not at work. They're in a grocery store, they're at a concert, and they use these skills to help save themselves in those situations. So again, prepared, not scared, and we hope we never use it, but we did have all of our credentialed staff go through this in April. Any questions on ALICE? Okay, that's basically what I said there. And next steps here that we're working on next. So continued proactive measures, all those things on the first slide. We'll continue to update annually that comprehensive school safety plan. That's a requirement by the state, but it's just a good idea anyway. We will continue to train staff as needed. We'll have some new staff, and then our classified staff will be going through 2 trainings in August. And last but not least, we'll develop some reunification protocols. All of our sites have reunification plans, but they're very much site specific on kind of like walking to a different location if you can't be on your site. That works okay if you have like a gas leak or something like that. But if you have something that's bigger and we have to fully remove kids from campus, we really do need to be working with our community to locate a few or identify a few locations where we could coalesce up to 1 or 2 schools, potentially maybe 3. I don't know. I've done that process before. It's very doable, but it's very time intensive. So it won't be the next thing we do in 25, 26, but it is on the radar once we get everyone trained. And I didn't have it on this list, but it is coming not in 25, 26, but we'll also train staff on the student components of ALICE essentially. It's age appropriate. We're not going to talk to a TKer like we talked to an 8th grader. But we were talking to teachers about when this comes, there are things you can do to help kids, right? So TKers can take a nature walk every Tuesday, and that nature walk can take them to a safe place to shelter on campus, but they don't necessarily need to be told that's the purpose of the nature walk. But if you do need to evacuate, you can say, you remember that nature walk we do every Tuesday? We're going to do it, and we're going to swim there like sharks. Because if you move like this is terrible, but you're less likely to be a target if you're moving. We talk about that in ALICE. So those are things, that's the way we talk about it with little kids, right? So it's terrible, but we have to be prepared for things that might come our way. So those are the kind of things that we're talking about now with adults, and eventually we'll start talking to kids about in appropriate kid-friendly language in years to come. Questions about that? It's a heavy topic, I know. So, okay. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And are you up again for the attendance update?
Good evening, President Holt, Clerk Gridsby, members of the board, Superintendent Meyer, and members of the community. My name is Kelly Young, and I am the Director of Student Support. This evening's presentation highlights the work we've done this year to support and improve student attendance. Thanks. Oh, there we go. No worries. There we go. We're starting with our house diagram. We love the house diagram. My objective is to provide an overview of progress that we've done in creating processes and procedures, highlight some current initiatives that we're working on, and then outline future plans of continuous improvement and strategic direction to support our students and families. And next. And we're going to start with the why and with our lovely house diagram. It's how we start. Regular attendance is how we get to the house. If we cannot help students get access to the house, then no, learning isn't going to happen. I mean, as a teacher for 19 years, I know having absent students, it's hard. They get gaps. They don't feel a part of the community. And that's another thing, that connectedness that Superintendent Meyer was talking about. So that's why we're really focusing on this. Next. So looking back at what we've done, I have to catch up to the slides. This chronic absenteeism and truancy matrix, it's a key document for our district. It outlines the thresholds and definitions used to identify students with attendance concerns. So everyone will have access to this. They can have access to it online. They can also have access to it maybe hanging up. I have mine right by me, so I can always refer to it. It has links for all of the different attendance letters that we send out, so people can see what the attendance letters look like. When we do student attendance meetings with parents, it has all of that documentation in it. So it's a one-stop shop to help all of the office staff with these attendance concerns. Because we want consistent responses. We want our community to know that we want their children here, and we are going to do whatever we can to help support them, and being consistent is probably the best thing that we can do. All right, next. So this was a much bigger undertaking than I ever thought it would be. We haven't had a consistent way to send out our attendance letters. You know, unfortunately, fortunately, we have to send out those attendance letters so we can get to a point where we can help families and we can support them. It's not a, you know, it's less punitive than it used to be, but these things still have to happen in those steps in order for us to go forward. So there's English and Spanish versions in each category. For all 3 required parent letters, for unexcused absences, excused absences, and tardy. So that was like a total of 18 letters that were the attendance clerks, Karen Simmons, Debbie Epson before she retired, and Rachel Niederhold that you saw here earlier were very helpful in helping me with these letters. Proofreading, making sure that what was on there was correct. And then Cynthia Espinoza, who's our community liaison, she also translated all of the letters. So procedures on attendance letter runs developed this year, and we will fully launch in 25-26. So looking forward, we've been talking about a lot about attendance campaigns. I've gone to presentations on attendance that other school districts are doing to help their families with their attendance problems. I know Jeremy has gone to some, and the one thing that we're noticing is district-wide slogans, and just letting the kids know this is our focus, this is important, you're important. And so we've come up with the district-wide slogan, Arrive and Thrive, present today, prepared for tomorrow. And I will not mangle the Spanish language and read that unless somebody else is able to do that fluently. Can you go back real quick? So at the site level, we're looking at monthly recognition of perfect attendance and also improved attendance, because we want to honor those kids who come to school every single day. And then we want to celebrate improvements, to let them know you're doing a good job. Look, you were here, now you're here. They have to see how they're progressing, and that will really give them more of an intrinsic feeling of that connectedness. Also looking at incentives at the district level, banners for each site so parents can see this is you know, we want you here. This is our slogan. This is what we say to the kids. Postcards to send home, potential student design contest, which is, I think, one of the best ways to do things. Incentives, and then actually next year I'll be working on a tiered attendance intervention model, which basically lays out and outlines the supports available at each of the 3 tiers, so everyone knows exactly what's going on and how those supports look at each tier. Because tier 1 is everyone, tier 2 is some, and then tier 3 is just a few. All right, next. Now, looking forward, our data-driven decision-making. We have an addition of a targeted bus route based on attendance area, and this attendance area is for Auburn Elementary. And this is the same heat map shared at other public meetings, such as the Meddlers meeting for the city of Auburn on May 6th. And this data has been consistent for the last 3 years. So consistent data from the past 3 years indicates a consistently high number of students in this area who are chronically absent and frequently tardy. So that's very important to make sure if we can help those students get to school that we do that. Next. So looking forward, attendance support, short-term independent study, which has now changed. It was 5 to 15 days. Now it's 1 to 15 days. And other school districts are starting to put together processes for these. So I will be contacting them and finding out how they're doing, how it's going. In fact, Jeremy went to a great presentation. And so I've got a school district that I will be in touch with to talk to them about that. We've got the attendance recovery program, which I think we'll be talking about more in board updates. And like I said, we're researching streamlined processes for ease of use, because the last thing we want to do is have create more work for our employees. And our key goals: increase attendance rates across for all students, reduce chronic absenteeism, ensure timely and supportive family communication, and create a sustainable and data-driven attendance system. So this can carry on in Auburn and, you know, work in the future, that we build a strong foundation and go from there. Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for working on this.
All right, and the PCOE second interim budget letter.
Yeah, I'll just present from here. The district staff concurs with PCOE's evaluation of the second interim budget. The district has accounted and made adjustments for the increased bill back projected and the prior bill back adjustments as mentioned in the letter. The district may, we're going to make future adjustments in the ADA projections to remain more conservative in estimations due to the unpredictable nature of attendance in the future. You know, we'll make changes as we see them increase or improve, or as we see students coming back to the district to make those predictions more accurate. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, moving forward then to the board governance handbook first read.
Yes, we had a special board meeting on April 5th and went through our board governance handbook. The item for those audience members online that is attached, our apologies, we accidentally attached the wrong item. So we do have hard copies here in the audience, and we'll go through it together as a board. The point of this item is really just have any questions or comments on the board handbook, discussion around anything that needs to be remedied or any questions you might have. This will be a first read, and then we'll bring it back with any corrections needed next time for second read and adoption.
I didn't notice anything. It looked so, like, the formatting turned out so nice.
I think we all put a lot of work into it.
But I appreciate Jenny. I think Jenny compiled it, right, with all that info. So
Yeah, it
thank
does look
you.
good. It does look good.
I have one thought, kind of sprang mind earlier. about adding as part of the new trustee checklist, making sure that we clarify that we want to give that new trustee the superintendent goals for the year, like early as part of their onboarding process, just so they're aware of kind of what we're looking at.
Do you want,
I don't know if that would even rise to the occasion of being on the checklist, but I think that's something we want to make sure happens as part of that onboarding. You know, it could be in the first month or so.
yeah, well, we certainly can add it. It could be part of the first bullet. I mean, there's a number of things we might do, but I think, well, one, they'd want to review the board goals and also the aligned superintendent's goals, right? So we could add something like meet with the superintendent and board president to discuss annual board and superintendent goals. Does that,
Yeah,
or do you think that's
I feel like
too
that's
specific for
I
that?
feel like that part's a separate.
Yeah, I think,
event,
yeah.
You know,
A separate event, okay.
Yeah.
So put its own, maybe right under
Yeah,
that?
yep. Yeah, I think so. That or even under the work with superintendents, the executive assistant. No, it could be its own thing right underneath.
Its own thing, okay.
What do you think?
I agree. I mean, I think it makes sense to have that as a new trustee.
I wouldn't mind if we also put the an evaluation on there so that they got a heads up of what we're going to be looking for throughout.
The form, is that?
Yeah.
What you're- yeah.
Okay, so let me just double check my work here, make sure I'm taking the right notes. So I would add one underneath its own bullet or box, underneath the first one that says meet with superintendent to review annual board goals and aligned superintendent goals. Or would that be board president also at that
Maybe
meeting?
and board president.
And board president, okay. And then, let me see, sorry. President. And then do you want a separate one on reviewing the evaluation
No,
process?
I think we could probably include that in here. If
Okay.
we're talking over the goals, and we can say this is the evaluation sheet that we're using to
Reach those.
to measure the superintendent.
Eval timeline and documents process, something like that. Okay, we'll work on that. And then, anything else? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut anyone off. Okay, then I think what we'll do is we'll make an update. We'll send it to you via email to take a look. If you guys see anything else, please let us know. And then we'll bring it back May 29th, that would be, for second read and approval.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. So moving to 11E, the board policy subcommittee review discussion.
Okay, Emily and Amber have said tag you're it, so I'm going to do this one. Okay, so what we did is we discussed as a subcommittee kind of what would be our process, what would be our timeline. So the thing I think I will first draw your attention to is the list of board policies attachment. It's several pages long, and basically starting at page 2, what it does is it outlines every board policy we have currently in place, and when it was originally adopted, when it was last revised, and then when it was last reviewed, which would mean potentially it was reviewed, but nothing was changed. The first page on that document, Jenny did a little bit of number crunching for us, which we appreciate. So she went through each section from the 1000s through the 9000s, total BPs in that area, or board bylaws, because the 9000s are board bylaws, total revised prior to 2020. So that was our cutoff, anything that was older than 5 years. And then what percentage of those policies are 5 years or older. So what you see there is, we average somewhere around, probably the high 60s or something like that. Most of them are in the 50s though. So then we looked at that as a group and said, well, how do we tackle that? Because that's going to take some significant time. And what are really our goals? And so what we heard from the board and we hope is captured in the second attachment there within the agenda item is that our goal would be to identify processes or board policies or bylaws that are older than 5 years and had an update that was missed, essentially. And so this is how we would do that. First, we would review the board policies in order. So we're actually going to start with the 9000s with the bylaws, and then from there we'll go 1000s down to 7s. We have that spreadsheet. We'll maintain that. And what we'll do is we'll look if a board policy has not been updated or reviewed in the last 5 years, meaning it's prior to 2020, Then we will go to CSBA's website, which should have the most current version. And we can do a little bit of track changes in Word and determine if there was any changes, there are any changes that have been made that for some reason we don't have in our policy. If the two versions align and there's nothing else to be done, we'll just note in the last review date column, we'll just put that date and move on to the next one. But if the two versions do not align and therefore need further review, we will take that to the next process, which would be the review process. And when we were talking, especially given going through our first read, second read, our binders on the CSBA quarterly updates, we think we could probably handle about 10 board bylaws or board policies in a chunk of as a chunk. So we would kind of continue our process until we got to 10 of them. And then we would go through those 10 processes, do some recommendations on language as a draft, and bring that to the board as a first read, second read. And the schedule would start in August. We would do a first read in August of those first 10 policies, second read in September, and then you can see the rest of the timeline there. I'm not sure how long it's going to take us to get through them all because it kind of depends on how good we've been in the past of updating. But we'll kind of give you an update each time of how many we went through and bring you that group of 10. That makes sense?
Absolutely.
Any
Yeah.
questions? Want to change it? Let us know.
I think you guys can do 20.
He said, what?
Do 20, maybe 30.
You think we could do 20? You're going to be on the
Yeah,
subcommittee
just
pretty soon.
volunteered. No, thank you, Superintendent Amber and Emily for your work on this.
Absolutely.
Really, it's a big lift, but it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
I think.
Thank you for putting that together, Jenny.
Yeah.
That was helpful.
Yeah.
Okay, moving to 11F, then the facilities update.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and start off with the biggest celebration. May 6th, DSA signed off on the approval for the EV Kane project. So we're
That what date was that?
May 6th.
That's a wonderful day. Well, that's my birthday also.
Knew there was something else attached to that.
So we're going to get a revised cost estimate of some of our changes on Monday is the plan. And we'll probably have to bring back the ADA upgrades on the pricing to the board at the next meeting just to get approval for that because that wasn't included in the original contract amount for those changes. We knew they were coming. That's the whole purpose of the DSA evaluation and trying to, get the best bang for our buck on that project so that we can move forward without depleting our resources. And so we're going to have to come up with 20% of the total project cost for those improvements. And I'm, grateful that we can continue. The other projects that we have happening, we have a roof project in works at EV Kane also where we've had quite a few leaks over the winter and improving the gutter system and the rubber roof attachment to where the gutters attach. So we've just put that project out to bid and we hope to bring that to the board for approval at the next meeting. The other main thing that we've been dealing with are 2 water leaks that caused extensive damage. The first one happened in EV Kane over spring break and damaged the flooring and cabinets. And we filed an insurance claim with our insurance company to come in and do restoration work and repairs during the summer. The other one that happened was a couple weeks ago at Auburn Elementary School. The Discovery Club portable that we own and they use for the ELOP program completely blew out a 1/2-inch line, and I got a frantic call from staff there who handled it very well and tried to deal with it themselves. But I got on scene and there was 4 to 5 inches of water pouring out the front door, and so the entire class was filled with water. And after about 40 minutes, we were able to get it shut off. We had to dig out a shut-off valve, and I was down in my dress clothes and my hands and knees in the mud.
Get a picture?
Completely drenched, and was able to help with Dave came to the rescue, and we had immediately trying to remediate that. They came in, they gutted the classroom, tore out the, the walls that were damaged, and we're able to put all of that back in place probably within the next 4 weeks. But we had to utilize the PE classroom for before and after school programs, and they had to move in a little bit of equipment there. But we're making it work. We're doing the best we can with what we have, and thanks to all the staff for their help there. The probation department was able to help with fire clearance out at the Vintage Oaks property, and so they mowed with probation workers probably close to 4 or 5 acres to create defensible space around houses. And so we're grateful for that community collaboration and their help there. And I can't say thanks enough to Dave for helping out in facilities and making the adjustment to help with the transition and improvements of our facilities and where we move from here. We're working on efficiencies and trying to bring staff together to make sure that we're utilizing, our staff the most efficiently and prioritizing safety at the school sites. So thank you, Dave. Does anybody have any questions?
So if this pipe burst, was it a fluke on a brand new pipe, or does that mean that we should start looking at some of the other plumbing?
I think it was the plumbing type. We should definitely inspect the plumbing and see what happened. This, could have been a fluke, but I think it could have been a plumbing issue. And we normally get leaks and they start dripping, and then we go and fix it, and usually there's a small puddle and just a mop bucket, but this was completely blown off the valve. And it happens, but I haven't seen that before.
Also, on the note of the shutoff valve, maybe it's a good time to find the other ones just in case.
Yeah, definitely.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. All right, now on to board policy updates, the December 2024 first read.
Okay, I'm going to do my best to get us to the right pages. I'm not going to go through all these policies, but certainly if you have any questions, let me know. Just as a reminder, this is first read. This is the quarterly batch from CSBA in December. Any questions, comments, concerns, we'll talk about them. We can bring more info back. And then this will return, this whole set will return May 29th for second read and approval. The policies that are listed in the index packet and that you have full copies of, they are all policies that we have in place, and we are updating based on CSBA's recommendation. There were a few that the subcommittee wanted us to bring forward and discuss. The first one, so if you're looking at the packet, it's the full, and again, for those of you online, we have packets here, and we'll kind of talk through the language for you if you're at home. But for the board, we emailed you this packet. We had a little bit of a snafu with linking the packet in the agenda. So when you look at the full packet with notes, you should be on page 11. And that should be board policy 1250. Visitors and outsiders. Everyone there? Okay. So the question that the committee has or had that we looked into, this is a policy on who comes onto your campuses, when they're there, what's the expectation, sign-ins, things like that. And this one particularly deals with the presence of people on campus who may be sex offenders, identified sex offenders. There is a possibility that you could have, and the question was, it says, people who are registered sex offenders shall notify the school, and then we have to have a response whether or not we're going to allow them to be on campus. One of the questions was, well, what does that mean by, what if they don't tell you? Well, part of their term in terms of being on the sex offender list is that they are to tell a school. If we were to find out they didn't, then that would be a violation. But it would be on someone to tell us, and it has happened, that they're on a registered sex offender list and they would like to come to campus for the following reason on the following date. Attend a parent-teacher conference, attend a school play, whatever it might be. And then we make a decision, and it is the administrator who makes the decision. It's the principal or designee. If anything like this happens, the principal's coming to me as well. And then we have to make a decision on whether or not we would allow that person to come to campus. And then there are some notification requirements. And that was one of the clarification pieces we looked up, or actually didn't look up. I asked our attorney. If the person asking to come onto campus is a parent, and we grant that parent access, there is not a school notification trigger. But if that person is not a parent, so they're a grandparent, and uncle, something else, and they ask to come to a school play and we grant permission to come to that event, then a school-wide notification to anyone who would be at that event, student-wise, would be triggered. And that's some of the language in this policy. Anything I missed,
quick
Amber and
question
Emily?
on that.
Yeah.
I guess if you can walk through me, as far as, come to a school play,
Mhm.
I don't recall ever, like getting permission or anything like that. You can basically, walk off the street and go to a school play. Are we changing that, or?
Well, you can, right? So the public is welcome. We expect people are going to bring their grandparents and, their brothers and sisters and all of that. So the notification piece comes because if you are required to register as a sex offender, part of that term, I don't necessarily know if I'm using the right language here, but part of what they're required to do is notice certain places if they're going to attend. And one of those places is schools, because obviously we have a lot of kids present. So a person would be required to tell us, hey, my niece is in this play. I want to go. I have to register, and I would like your permission to attend this event. If we granted permission, and that's where this policy comes into place, if we were to grant that permission and that person was not a parent, we would notice that a registered sex offender will be in attendance at this event, would be our requirement.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
So can we deny access to parents or only to people who are not parents?
Well, it kind of depends. So a parent has ed rights, right? So as long as they have custody of their child and what have you. So they would have a right to things like accessing their records or maybe, talking to the teacher if they have a concern. We could tell them, yes, you can come to this parent teacher conference. It's at 3:00. You can show up at 3:00 and you leave at 3:30. We can also say, you're welcome to attend the parent teacher conference, but we're going to hold it by Google Meet. So there are other ways that we could accommodate their ed rights without having them on campus. So we couldn't say that you can't do the things you're allowed to do as a parent or have access to those things, but we could figure out a way to do it where they're not coming to school.
Could we rewrite this policy to only do it by Google Meet or in the district office and not have them on campus, period?
You could, and this was some of the information that I had sent out. The way it's written, it gives us the leeway to allow or not allow. So then the question is, why would you ever allow someone to come on campus, right? So there are different levels or tiers of what people might be a registered, they have to be a registered sex offender at tier 1, 2, or 3, right? I think 1 is the lowest, but if I'm wrong, it's the other direction. But that could be something like, for example, they were urinating in public and they were close enough to a school or a place where children reside that they now have to register for a period of however long, 5 years, 10 years. We might look at that and say, okay, that individual could come for a parent-teacher conference, but we wouldn't necessarily have an uncle who did the same thing come for a school play. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but so could we still preclude them from coming here regardless of tier? I mean, could we just make a policy saying all tiers are not welcome on campus? If you have business with your student, it needs to take place either online or at the district office?
I believe you could. And if that's well, I guess I shouldn't say, I would imagine you could do that as long as they still had access to ed rights. My recommendation, if that's the way the board would like to look at the policy, is that we would reach out to attorneys and ask them for feedback on that and what that might then look like in
Okay.
terms of language. And then I could bring that back. And if they weren't able to get that to me by the 29th for some reason, we could pull this one and then throw it on for another
June, okay.
another one.
Yeah, because I mean, the way I look at it is they're on a sex offender registry for a reason. And so whatever tier that is, I don't think that we need to accommodate them any more than their legal right allows.
I think it'd be a good follow-up question for our legal team.
Okay. All right. So just to confirm, my ask is parents or anyone, it would only be access online with online or at district office. And if we could change the language to indicate that kind of across the board.
Yeah,
Is that right?
That's what I'm thinking.
Now, would that include also attending a performance or award ceremony?
Sounds like that would preclude that. That would just
Yeah.
be not permitted, period.
Yeah.
Ideally, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So yeah, because well, we would have to be clear because it would not be our intention to then make everything go online. Like promotion ceremonies are going to happen in a few weeks. Like we're not equipped for that. But if well, that's where we have to
And
talk to
we
attorneys.
definitely
Like
don't want to make everything online.
right,
too,
yeah.
for
So it's
sex
like
offenders.
yeah, if it's a required, and this is why we need to talk to attorneys, right? If it's something that you're entitled to as an ed rights holder, then we would offer these options.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'll go to the next one. Activities. Okay. All right. Next one to talk about. Okay. Page 34. It's not the first page of the policy, but it's the page you need. It's BP 3320, claims and actions against the district. The board has to make a decision. And again, you can talk about what you'd like it to look like now, or we could have further discussion next time. This is when claims or actions are brought against the district and there is some sort of settlement agreement. And the beginning of the policy lays out what those claims might be, if you want to look at that.
What's the number again?
Oh, sorry, 3320. And the portion we're looking at is on page 34. Page 34 of your document, which is page 5 of the policy. Gets confusing. If you want to look at what types of claims and actions we're talking about here, that's covered on page 1. There's some new language here in terms of time limitations, those types of things, what late claims are. But the section that we definitely have to make a decision on is on page 5. And what this section says, and the board needs to make a call on, is whether or not you would authorize the superintendent to settle claims that are $50,000 or fewer, or if you would like all settlement claims to come to the board. And that will change the language we choose to adopt at the bottom of page 5.
So we can have a claim for 49,500.
Correct. And you could decide if you want the superintendent have authority to sign off on those claims, or if you want any dollar amount, which.
Where are we at right now?
Oh, sorry. So the portion of the policy on claims approval is on page 5 of the policy, which is page 34 of your giant document. Does that make sense?
Or trustee Wedge, or are you asking if we have a current limit right now?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
I feel like this is new because we didn't have anything before. Okay, so for, second blue box on that page 5, the following paragraph is optional. Then it gives you the government code number. It authorizes but does not require the board to delegate to an employee the authority to allow, compromise, or settle a claim of $50,000 or less. Boards that do not wish to delegate such an authority should delete the following paragraph. Boards that wish to delegate this authority may modify the following paragraph to specify a different employee to whom the authority is delegated and or an amount less than 50,000. So you could adjust that paragraph or you could just get rid of it. And then based on what you decide there, this next blue box, then the following paragraph should be revised depending on whether the board has delegated an employee and which employee and for how much.
And at this time, our current board policy delegates to the superintendent the authority to allow, compromise, or settle claims of $50,000 or less
It currently does.
currently.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm happy to keep it like that. To delegate that authority to the superintendent.
I mean, do we deal with a lot of claims or have we?
I mean, don't jinx us, but I haven't had to settle one this year.
Oh. We've had a few last year.
Well, I remember, yeah, there was a
Win
few we
advantage, I
discussed
think.
about. Mhm.
I agree. I think it's fine to leave it that way, but I just thought since there was a dollar amount attached, we should bring it to the board.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Did you make a note of that too, Jenny? And we'll let Laura know. Okay. I believe that was it. Was there another one?
No, that was all.
That was all. Okay.
Oh.
Other than that, if you have any other questions, please let us know.
Are there any questions at this time? Okay. Let's move on then to board governance and update on requests.
Okay. All right. I don't believe we have any outstanding requests. We have a cell phone policy that will be agendized in August. That came a request from President Holt last time at the April meeting. And then there was an email sent on the 10th regarding Trustee Poole's question about cell phone and policy at New California law. So that one went to you already. There was information on studies about reading and whether listening to audiobooks aids or interferes with comprehension from President Holt. An email was sent out to the board with info on that on the 25th of April. And then we answered Trustee Travis's question about obtaining the usage of program with current curriculum kind of in the moment at the April meeting. Director Peters was able to answer that question regarding we could do it, but we have to add additional dollar amount to purchase those portions of the online materials. So unless you think I missed something, I don't think I had any outstanding requests to answer tonight.
I don't think so. Not seen anybody else. All right, and then new requests. So it sounds like we've asked you to look into the turf.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that was already handled.
Turf changes to well, there was a few items, right? Changes to the governance handbook, the BP question, or legal, and anything else? Oh, we have to do the declaration of need.
That one change.
Change on number. I think that was all that I had.
Anybody else have a new request you want to bring up?
No.
All right. Okay. Moving on then to 13 and comments from the board and superintendent.
It's a busy time of year. It's May. I cannot actually believe that in 3 weeks school's out. It's crazy. It's been a lovely year, and it's been a lovely year because of a lot of people that do a lot of hard work. We've recognized a lot of them tonight. We also have a lot of community partnerships. We had a really lovely recognition night in April where we recognized some of those groups. But we also would like to thank PG&E very recently. Is re-roped the right word? They re-roped our flagpole, restrung the flagpole. So we unfortunately had some vandalism there at EV Kane, and they came out and they were able to do that for us very quickly. And so we really appreciate that.
That was PG&E?
Yeah, PG&E did
They're
that for
giving
us.
back?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Speaking of thank yous, we did have our employee recognition event, and then the board had their your resolution to recognize Employee Appreciation Week last week. And so we had smoothie patrol trucks out there. Did you have a smoothie, Sarah? Oh, I did. You're right. I did some deliveries, and Sarah was one of my classrooms I delivered to. So there was Smoothie Patrol, PTCs put on lovely events. We had community partners coming in, bringing lunch to staff. So I think hopefully everyone felt very appreciated. We certainly wanted to convey to our staff how much we appreciate the hard work they do. We have over 100 kids in Camp AUSD, our summer school program. We're very excited. We're working on that, and we have a bunch of fun activities on Fridays to encourage kids to come 5 days a week. So we have PCWA bringing stuff in. We're working with state parks to bring in some stuff that they bring to schools for on-campus learning. So that should be super fun. I did want to let the board know there's a few upcoming events you might want to be aware of. We have a spring concert, so our picture of our middle schoolers up there with Mr. Charles. They will be performing at EV Kane on the 20th at 6 p.m.
That's June.
No, sorry, that's May. So next week, I believe, on the 20th. Next week's a busy week because we have 2 open houses. Auburnell's open house will be on the 21st at 5:30. Skyridge will be the next day, the 22nd at 5:30. So you can join us 3 days in a row. And then the week after will be EV Kane on 5/28. They will have food at 5 o'clock and then classrooms at 5:30. That's when the official classroom start is. At EV Kane. Yep, that one's at 6. And other than that, I will just give a brief update. I talked about it in January, and then we applied for a community schools grant in February. The state board did approve all community schools grantees in the cohort we were in. Unfortunately, Auburn was not awarded a community schools grant. What they ended up doing was they had so many applicants, they raised the unduplicated count percentage to 80% and only considered districts at 80% or above. And we were slightly below that in the 70s. So we put our best foot forward, but we didn't get that grant. But the good news is we have already worked some of the things that we were hoping to do, like Sarah talked about the behaviorists that we're bringing on board, is worked into the budget. You'll hear more from Jeremy on that in the meetings to come, but we're going to be able to do some of the things. And now we have been working with PCOE to talk about the wellness center transitions since they'll be transitioning out at the end of next school year. So we've already started those talks of what that might look like and how we might be able to sustain something along those lines, given the grant funding didn't come through. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. I also just want to highlight that recognition ceremony that the district held last month. Fantastic. So great job to the staff that worked on that. I know Michelle Bunt in particular and Jenny were putting a whole lot of work into that to make it happen. And then all the staff that was able to come out and support. It was really great. I really enjoyed the opportunity to recognize our students and teachers there rather than crammed into a board meeting agenda in our boardroom. So we actually kind of got to honor them a little bit more and spend time with them. It was pretty good. And then recently, the superintendent, CBO, and I were able to go present at Medlars and speak to the Auburn Chamber Forum about what's going on in our district and provide an update. The last time the district had been there was January of 2024. Obviously, a lot of things have changed since then. So it's good to be able to provide that update. And I was just asking Kiwanis tonight, if you want us to come out, we'll come out and talk to you about what's going on. So if somebody at home is listening and is a part of a service organization that would like to get an update from the school district, reach out to us. We'd be happy to come out and tell you what's going on here. And that's all I've got for this evening.
I wanted to duplicate, especially the recognition dinner was amazing. It was so great to see the celebration with the families. It was amazing to see all the kids excited. Thank you for all the staff, and we absolutely do appreciate you. So hopefully you felt, because we absolutely do every day. So thank you.
Yeah, same. That was a lovely event, and I'm excited for all the open houses and an opportunity to get to see all the schools. And yeah, I hope you guys, all you teachers listening, had a really appreciated week.
I too and really enjoyed that event. But this month has been very busy for me. I've been ducking into as many things as I can, so I can't imagine how frazzled the teachers are right now. I got to go to the the PD training with the Alice training. It was awesome. I learned a lot of things. I You know, I'm accustomed to the evacuate, lockdown, that whole thing, and now I know fight. And I think that was well received, and the SROs did a really good job training on that. I did the kindergarten day of the life at Auburn L, and that was really fun. They had a really good turnout. All the little kindergartners and TKers were just running around with their Play-Doh and the chalk and doing their whole thing, and the parents were paying attention to the presentation. It was really nice and well attended, and I got to see Little Red Riding Hood in the afternoon at Sky Ridge. They did a really good job. It was the first to third graders, and then the older kids, Greg's daughter included, were the stage hands and kind of like shuttling everybody around. It was they did a good job there, and right. Oh, I did get to attend the big day of giving at the station. I did not get to see much of that because I had another engagement, but that was also well attended, and that was put on by the Auburn Ed Foundation, and they did a really nice job. They had a lot of um, raffle items, and it was a fun time. Lots of teachers there. That's all for me.
And I think all of us, including me, got to go to the recognition dinner. And I even brought my boys and my wife with me. Boys were excited. So one of the few times they were legally allowed on a public school ground. So they were excited for that. Um, and I think we talked about it is, we're going to rotate that every year to a different school, correct? So whatever school is next, they did a great job at Skyridge. So whatever school is next, you got your work cut out. You got your work cut out. So that's about all I got.